Welcome to the Power of One. As you know, tuning in for the last few weeks, what we've been doing with our show is analyzing someone's great success that they've had in their lives and showing how it can relate to you, how one person can do something remarkable with their lives. Well, tonight we're going to do things a little bit differently. Instead of analyzing someone who's already accomplished something, we're going to talk about someone who hasn't accomplished something yet, someone who's going to accomplish something in the future. So tonight we have a little bit of a twist, but still a very powerful message on this episode of The Power of One. Hi, I'm Marc Accetta, the host for your show. And first of all, I just want to thank you for tuning in every week. It's really gratifying getting a lot of the emails that we're getting and the comments about how much the show means to you and how much you're sharing it with other people. And we really encourage you to do that. We would like to have one of the top-rated iTunes shows out there. And, once again, the way that's going to happen is by nice folks like you who are getting some value here, just telling everybody else about it. So we really appreciate you being here tonight and having tuned in the past. And what I'd like to do is, since we have so many shows under our belt now, I'd like to kind of stop and get back to the root reason why we put this show together in the first place. The reason to do the show is not to have history lessons. I like history. I took a minor in history in college and enjoy studying the past, but that was certainly not the reason why we're highlighting these people. The whole point of this show, if you go back to our inaugural show, was to let you understand that you can do anything that you want to do with your life. In the past, we've talked about people like Rosa Parks, who was just a seamstress in her 40s on her way home from work. And by standing up for what she believed in, she created a massive movement that totally changed this country forever. We talked to you about a little boy named Howard who would be in his bedroom, with his tape recorder, making up his own radio shows, making believe he was on the radio when he was a kid. And then he took his first job, for whatever, a couple $100 a week, and was willing to do whatever it took just because he loved the lifestyle of being a DJ, but in his heart he believed things had to be done differently. He had to have the courage to step up and act out and do what he knew was going to be going against the tide. And now Howard Stern makes $100 million a year, has totally changed the face of radio. We've given you numerous examples of people who are just average folks who stepped up and followed their dreams and their visions and have had massive impacts on the world. So now tonight I want to talk to you about what you're going to do. We want to have people who are regular viewers of this show go out and do amazing things in your life and contact us and let us know about it. And I'd like to interview you right here on this show so we can highlight your amazing success. And obviously, if you get your inspiration from the show, so much the better. The bottom line is we really want to develop a tremendous group of people that are doing something different with their lives. I mean, once again, if this show is entertaining you, so be it. But instead of entertaining, I'd rather it move you to action. I do seminars all over the world, and once again, I love going there. I love doing what we call edutainment, where we entertain and educate people at the same time. I just hate sitting in dull, boring seminars. If your company has dull, boring seminars, contact us and we can come out and put some pizzazz and teach you some great things. But my point is, when I'm doing those seminars, if all that's happening is the audience is being entertained, that's okay, but that's not at all why I'm doing the seminars. I want to have people take action and change the direction of what they're doing in their day-to-day lives. If you have a different mindset, that's great, but if you don't change your behavior and actually have different actions, then I hate to tell you this, but nothing's going to change. So once again, tonight, I just wanted to go ahead and instead of featuring somebody, I want to feature you. I don't know your name yet, but I want to feature you because you believe in this show enough to tune in, and I want you to figure out what's your heart's desire. What do you really want to accomplish? I know it might be almost a little bit embarrassing to say it out loud or even to admit it to another human being right now because maybe it's too out there, maybe it's too crazy to even say the words to somebody, but let's identify for you yourself in your heart what your goals and what your aspirations are. And I always share this. We do goal setting programs that are so much different than what most companies do because the main thing I want you to do when you're setting a goal is I want you to be amazingly unrealistic. Probably my least favorite word in the English vocabulary is the word realistic. Why does realistic mean less than? Why does realistic mean just getting by? The bottom line is when Donald Trump is being realistic, he's talking about making hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. So why, when you hear people say, well, we need to be realistic, why is that always low? Why is that always less than? So what I want you to do is get in a room, and I understand you've never made a lot of money maybe, and I understand you've never done anything spectacular maybe, and I understand that you view yourself, when you look in the mirror, you may not see something amazing looking back at you, but the bottom line is, despite all that, I'm sure you understand, and if you don't, think about it for a minute. What you've done in the past has nothing to do with what you're going to do from this point forward. And Rosa Parks would be a tremendous example of that. Just a regular person, blue-collar job, going to work, nothing special in her life, and then she does one thing and whammo, it totally transforms her life and the life of millions of people. So you can do it. You can do something miraculous even if you don't see yourself as a changed person or an influencer or whatever the case might. You may not see yourself as a master of change or a heavy, powerful person, but the bottom line is you just might be. So once again, I want you to sit down and dream real big right now. Stop being realistic. What I find is when we put people through goal setting sessions, they'll write down something that's a little beyond what they're doing right now. So for example, if you're making $100,000 a year, and after all expenses, everything's said and done, and you come up with your living abilities, you're going, you know what, we can afford a house that's about $400,000. That's right for our income and all that stuff. So maybe now, if you're going to set a goal, you're going to get wild and crazy and envision yourself in a, I don't know, $700,000 or $800,000 house, twice as much as you have now. While that's great, let me ask you this. If you really want a new home, why not a $10 million home? Why not a house that's 20,000 square feet with your own basketball court and your own indoor pool? And once again, what do you really want? I don't care if it's unrealistic. What do you really want? And on the other hand, let's get away from the materialistic stuff. If you're in a situation and maybe you're trying to build a church, I don't know what you're trying to do, and you've got a couple of hundred people and you're trying to get it to where you've got 500 people, you know, that's your goal. How about setting your goals on having a bigger church than Joel Osteen? Instead of him talking to whatever it is, 50,000 plus people every single week, what if you make your goal to have something bigger than him? Reverend Cho over in Korea has a congregation that's close to 1 million people. Maybe you can have a congregation that's bigger than him. But the bottom line is you're not going to if you don't attempt anything. Okay, and if you're going to attempt something, you might as well attempt something big. So that's the bottom line, guy. If you're going to make it onto this show, if you're going to be able to do something big and bold, then you've got to dream big and bold to start off with. You've got to shoot at big and bold. And let me share this with you. If you're shooting at a target that's just a little bit off the ground and you hit your target, you're only a little bit off the ground. If you're shooting the target that's a little bit off the ground and you miss lower, you're not even off the ground. If you shoot at a target that's very, very high and you hit it, boom, big victory. If you shoot at a target that's really high and you miss it by a little bit, you're still a lot further than you would be if you were just a little off the floor. You've got to shoot at something bigger. You've got to have faith, guys. And once again, at a future show at some point, I'll talk to you about my faith and some of the things that I believe. But for now, let's just understand that I'm not talking about religious faith. I'm talking about faith that something can work out for you. I'm talking to you about eliminating doubt. I'm talking to you about believing that even though you've never done anything yet, and even though you're nothing spectacular, and even though all of the quote-unquote critics may be against you, I'm talking to you about having total belief and zero doubt in the fact that you can do anything, and I do mean anything, that you want to do. If you don't have that belief, how in the world are you going to get other people to follow your vision? How are you going to sell other people on what's going on? And if you notice, the people that have the greatest amount of influence, they're not necessarily the most intelligent. They're not always even saying things that are 100% accurate and true, but they have such conviction in their hearts. When they are selling someone on their vision and what they believe in, they're so passionate about what they're saying, and they can convey it in such a manner that people start buying into what they're doing and believing. I remember the movie Tucker. That would be a great person to actually feature on The Power of One. Preston Tucker, who 40 years ago was creating, 50, 60 years ago, I should say, was making cars that are superior to the ones that are being developed right now today. Remarkable, amazing story. If you haven't and don't know the story, go rent the movie Tucker, A Man in His Dreams with Jeff Bridges. An absolutely remarkable movie, to say the very least. But there's a scene in that movie that's really emotional, and there's a part of Preston Tucker's team as he's going through all these conflicts with the big motor company cars that are trying to put him out of business, and he has to go to court, and they're attacking him in the media, and all these terrible things are going on. True story, by the way. And one of his key employees comes up to him and has to leave because he feels that if he sticks around, it's going to hurt Tucker's opportunity to win in court and so on and so forth. So he is, even though he loves the guy, he's leaving because he thinks it's what's best for the team. And as he's sitting there conversing with him, he said, you know, I don't remember the exact line, but it was something like, you know, his mother told him when he was younger, don't get too close to people because you'll get caught up in their dreams. And he, you know, tearfully tells Tucker how he got caught up in his dream. Here's my point. Are you getting people caught up in your dreams? Because you can't get people caught up in your dreams to do things that are way above and beyond what everyone else is doing, to possibly do things that no one's ever done before. Look at what Google did, folks. All the experts said it was impossible to monetize a search engine. Well, I have a funny feeling that Google would disagree with that rather strongly. They figured out a way to monetize it and then some. So the reality is, if you are going to do something, first and foremost, you've got to believe in it. And then once you believe in it, you've got to eliminate all doubt and go out and with passion tell other people. And will some people laugh at you? Yes, that's actually a good sign. The bottom line is, if people aren't telling you you're crazy, you're not doing something of any great value. You're probably not even doing it the right way. Average people will always be average. They'll always make average income. They'll always live average lives. And if you look in the dictionary, one of the last definitions of the word average is the highest degree of poor. So if you're average, you're phenomenal at being pathetic. Do you really want to be average? Do you really want to be normal like everyone else? Because Bill Gates isn't normal. Michael Jordan wasn't normal. All the greatest names, I can mention names to you right now, and people all over the world would know those names because they're not normal. So stop trying to be normal. Step up. Do something above and beyond what's safe, guys. Go out and make it happen. So once again, maybe you want to rewatch some of the previous episodes of the show and see the stories I'm talking about, because virtually every one of the people we've talked about and virtually every one of the people we're going to talk about came from meager beginnings. They weren't wealthy. They weren't brilliant. They were just people who had a vision and had the courage to follow that vision. So I am hoping very deeply that when this show is over, that I don't know if it's going to happen 6 months from now or a year from now or 3 years from now, that one of our future episodes, somebody who watched this podcast is going to get busy with their dream, and you're going to be a future guest on The Power of One. I'm so thankful that you're tuning in. Once again, it does my heart so much good. I love what I'm sharing with you guys, and I'm just so thankful it's finding an audience. Please continue to spread the word. We want to have an impact on millions of people worldwide, because once again, there is just no reason for anyone in any country, anywhere, not to live 100% championship life. And I want to go to my grave doing whatever I can do to spread that word to as many people. Thank you for being on tonight's show, and we'll see you next week on The Power of One.